Good afternoon, all. It's fantastic to have you with us today. My name is Lenka Heokova. I'm with the NC Chamber. I'm the marketing manager. I am filling in for Amy Boyed, who is hopefully enjoying their new addition to the family. If this is your first time with us or you're just returning for a boost, we're really glad that you carved out time to be here. For those of you joining us for the first time, this group started out of an overwhelming interest from one of our breakout sessions in our women's event last fall, and it just underscores how prevalent the syndrome is, and not only among female professionals, but also among our male colleagues. So I would like to welcome those here with us today and for joining us in our journey in conquering the syndrome, with today's focus being on our negative inner voice. Just a reminder, this is a safe space. Please don't hold back on sharing your feelings, your thoughts in the chat. I took our own advice to heart. I'm joining us today from Boone. So welcome from Western North Carolina, the mountains. If you would like to say hello, introduce yourself in the chat. We will be living through you no matter where you are. For our keynote speaker, if you would just pose your questions in the Q&A function, and that way we know which is which. How will today look? I'm sure this is not new to any of you. We'll have a keynote presentation and then break out into group discussions, then reconvene back. Hopefully there will be some time left for any questions, and we will close up with a few remarks and then announcement about our next meeting. With that, it is now my pleasure to introduce our keynote speaker, Marisa Ciesluk. I would love to just share a little bit about Marisa. If you haven't had a chance to see her bio, she's the Chief Fire Starter, which is very clever and fun, at MWC Coaching. As a certified leadership and executive coach, she helps people ignite the fire inside of them so they can be the leader they're designed to be. Through coaching, speaking, and leadership learning labs, Marisa emboldens leaders to create caring cultures, embrace curiosity, and be courageous to enhance organizational productivity, reduce burnout, and increase employee engagement. As a lover of the outdoors, she is no stranger to challenges. She faced her profound fear of heights and summited Mount Kilimanjaro. She completed 2 marathons and endured a half Ironman. A working mother to a young daughter, a wife, an entrepreneur, she's living proof that one can persevere and achieve goals with courage and confidence by adjusting one's mindset. She resides with her family in Charlotte, so hello to Charlotte. Please help me welcome her to our virtual stage. Marisa, you just take it away.
All right. Well, thank you so much. Good afternoon. Thank you, Lenka. I am absolutely thrilled to be with you all today. First and foremost, I want to offer my gratitude to Lenka and to Natasha Simmons, who is behind the scenes. I want to invite both of them for inviting me to be a part of this event today, this North Carolina Chamber Imposter Syndrome Working Group. Both of these amazing women have been so helpful in making this event effortless on my end. And so for that, I am very grateful. I also want to express my gratitude to all of you. I want to express my gratitude for you being here, being in this virtual space with me. I know that you could be anywhere, and perhaps you are anywhere in the world right now, but I am grateful that you're taking the time to be here with me today. So I am currently reading the book, The Art of Gathering by Priya Parker. And if you have not read this book, I highly recommend it. And in it, she says that when you're planning a gathering, you need to create a sharp, bold purpose for the gathering. So people need to know why they're there and how they're going to be different as a result of this gathering. So you might be thinking, okay, Marisa, how am I going to be different as a result of this gathering? And my answer, my sharp, bold purpose for our time together today is for you to begin to do the work to have a different relationship with your negative inner voice. And I want you to start to see it differently. So with that sharp, bold purpose in mind, this space that we're in right now, virtually, it's been intentionally designed. It's been intentionally designed to promote growth and to offer support and accountability and to provide you with the tools that you need so that you can conquer your negative inner voice. So in just a few minutes, I'm actually going to ask you and invite you to declare your sharp, bold purpose for being here. So heads up on that. And I also am going to ask you how you plan to show up during our time together. But before I do that, I want to tell you why this topic of conquering your negative inner voice, I want to tell you why this matters to me, because this is personal, okay? It's very personal, actually. I care deeply. I care deeply on a personal and professional level about creating spaces for women to feel seen and heard and valued, and that they belong, that they feel like they belong. So I'm going to share my story with you today. And I want to do that to say that if you're struggling with your negative inner voice, I want to tell you that I see you and I hear you and you belong here. Okay. So my desire to create safe spaces for women is really what fuels this desire, this willingness to be really vulnerable and share my story with you. Because so often, I don't know if you're like me, but so often we see people's highlight reels, right, on social media. And so I don't want you to stand right here in this space and say, okay, Marisa, she's got it all together. She's up here doing this keynote speech here. It's just, she's conquered her negative inner voice, because that is not true. I have done some work and I'm still doing my work. This is a journey, and you've got to do yours. You've got to do your work too. And that's why this is a working group, right? We are working on these things. So you're not going to be able to declare at the end of this session that you have conquered your inner voice. So if you're looking to check this off of your to-do list and just declare that you've done that, that is not going to be the result of our time together. What you will have, however, is that you will have the tools to do the work, to do the hard work. This is not a quick fix, okay? This is about creating sustainable change, because your mind drama is not going anywhere. Okay, I can assure you of that. Your mind drama is not going anywhere. So here's my story in a nutshell. Until several years ago, I thought that some women were just naturally confident. And I had not yet discovered this magical answer that was going to cure my confidence issues. And so for decades, I took direction from my negative inner voice, and it was the dominant voice in my head. And it did its job. It did its job. It kept me safe. But here's what you need to know, and here's what I want to be really real and raw about. I was very embarrassed and very ashamed, because I felt like my inside did not match my outside. So on the outside, I was perceived to be doing very well. People were like, Marisa, you're really successful. You've got it all together. You've got it together. You're doing well. But on the inside, I was really grappling with this negative inner voice. And this negative inner voice was really holding me back from these big dreams and these big goals and these aspirations that I had. It was holding me back from my greatness. And so what I know today is that we unlock our greatness by working on the hard things. And I've done some hard things, as Linka mentioned in my introduction there. And so today we're going to do some hard things. Okay, we're going to do some hard things. And I'm a firm believer that I'm not going to ask you to do hard things if I haven't done them myself. So I want to tell you a little bit about that. So these pictures that you see here on the screen, they tell you a little bit about why this story, why this work is so personal for me. Because the common thread that holds these pictures together is my negative inner voice. So the first picture is me at the summit of Mount Kilimanjaro in Africa in 2012. And this mountain absolutely transformed me. I was on the mountain for 8 days. And so my mind had a lot of time to wander. Hiking Mount Kilimanjaro is not just a physical feat, it is actually a mental one. And I would offer and argue that the mental game was actually way harder than the physical one. Because I knew that I may not reach the summit. And there's a multitude of reasons. The main reason is that altitude sickness, which can hurt anyone, and you never know who it might affect. So I started this journey knowing that my end goal may not be achieved. And trust me when I tell you that my negative inner voice had plenty of fodder to offer me over the 8 days 192 hours and 11,520 minutes that I was on that mountain. So this life-altering experience gave me this mantra, which I want to share with you today, and that is success isn't the summit. Success isn't the summit. And what this mantra means is that success wasn't achieved when I reached the summit. It was about doing the hard things, like managing the negative inner voice in my head on the way to the greatness, on the way to the summit. And if I had listened to that voice, I would have never started the journey. I would have never made it to the top, never. The second picture actually represents my dream to become a certified leadership coach. And that dream actually began about 15 years ago, but it didn't come to fruition until about 2 years ago. And the main reason is that it took that long because of my negative inner voice. So every time I thought about or considered leaving my job, my negative inner voice would step in and it would be like, Marisa, are you absolutely crazy? Like, what is wrong with you? Like, what are you thinking? Why are you even contemplating leaving a career that offers you this steady and decent income to go back to school and start your own business? Like, have you lost your mind? Like, what are other people going to think about you? You don't have the business expertise to do this. So I didn't do my greatest dream that I wanted to make happen. And then at the peak of my career, I decided that enough was enough and I was tired of listening to it. And so I resigned. And so here I am with you today. And when I'm in the thick of what I call this mind drama, this negative inner voice chatter that's constantly in our heads, I often pause, and I invite you to pause too during this conversation that we're going to have today. I pause and wonder, what did I rob the world of because I let my negative inner voice run the show instead of the voice that knew I was created for greatness, which we all are created for greatness, by the way. So I don't dwell on that. And I know and I trust that I'm right where I need to be on my journey. But this is why I've made it one of my personal missions to help other women specifically overcome this negative inner voice, because I don't want the world to miss out on even one more minute of all of the goodness of all of the brilliant women in this space right now with us and in the world. And then lastly, I'm committed to this and I'm personally invested in this work because I'm a mom. And I'm a mom to a young daughter. My daughter is there on the screen. And this picture represents my hope for the future, especially when it comes to the negative inner voice. Imagine for a minute what a different world we'd live in if every little girl learned what the voice of her inner critic sounded like and knew how to quiet it. Think about that for a minute. So I am committed to helping my daughter and every other little girl and every other woman and every other man for that matter. I want them to have a different experience. I want to shift this relationship with our negative inner voices, and I want to model that. And so I want to give you the tools today to start to do that as well. All right, so I'm a space maker. We're going to create and hold space for each other in this space. I'm also a co-creator. And so I want to co-create this space for you. And so I told you this. I told you I'm going to ask you to declare your sharp, bold purpose for our time together. This is a working group. It is a learning space. It is a laboratory. So know that I ask these questions merely to set the tone for our conversation. This is a great exercise, by the way, to do if you have a meeting or anything like that where you want to really get people focused and on task. So your answers do not matter to anyone. I'm not going to ask you to put them and declare them in the chat. This is for your information only. I just want to help you set the focus. So what is your sharp, bold purpose? What do you want to be different as a result of our time together today? So just jot that down right there on your paper or type it up in your notes or put it in your phone, whatever that looks like for you. I'm still an old school pen and paper person, but write that down. And then I want you to think, now that you know why you're here, I want you to declare how you're going to make that happen. Okay. So what is your focus level right now? What is your focus level right now? Be honest, assess where you are. Nobody's going to notice. On a scale of 1 to 7, 1 being that you have about 50 other things going wrong right now. Your email's dinging, your phone is vibrating, your dog is barking, whatever, just wherever you are. 7 is you're laser focused. You are right here with me, eyes locked. We're ready. We're going to make some stuff happen. And then whatever that number is, again, it doesn't matter. Whatever that number is, just make one adjustment, whether it's turn the phone off or put the dog outside, make one adjustment to just take it up 1 notch. And then my second question is, how vulnerable are you willing to be to achieve that goal that you've set forth, for how you want to be different at the end of our time together today. Again, 1 to 7, 1 being that you are just here to observe and be a sponge, which is totally okay. Or you're a 7 and you're here on a mission. You're here on a mission to conquer your negative inner voice because it has held you back for way too long. So just declare that right now. Commit to that. You can take that to your small group if you want to. All right, here is the good news. Everyone has mind drama. Everyone has a negative inner voice. Everyone, men and women. Maya Angelou, Sheryl Sandberg, Serena Williams, Lady Gaga, Michelle Obama, Simone Biles, all of these amazing, brilliant women, accomplished women, all of them have shared that they've experienced imposter syndrome, which means at some point they have heard the negative inner voice within themselves. So all women, all men grapple with this voice of self-doubt in one way or another. The thing is, we are so used to living with this voice that most of us don't even imagine that it could be otherwise. It has become this background noise that we just live with. So what is it? What is this negative inner voice? Let's figure that out. What is it? The negative inner voice is the voice of self-doubt. It's that voice that says, not me. It's that voice that says, I'm not good enough to apply for that job. Or I shouldn't speak up in that meeting because I'm not a senior leader. Or I'm not ready to take on that leadership role or apply for that promotion. The negative inner voice, our inner critic, is the one that keeps us small and keeps us not good enough. It's that voice that is going to show up inevitably whenever you are on the cusp of doing something really big and leaving your comfort zone and being true to you, to your goals and your aspirations and your dreams and your visions. So why do you have it? Why do you have this voice? And the reason is it's basic brain science. Our brains are wired to keep us safe. So our brains are wired to seek out safety and to seek out security. And they are designed to look for what's wrong, find the risk, and then avoid it like the plague, okay? So if you've got a negative inner voice, congratulations, welcome, you are a human being. And like I said, everybody has it. But this inner critic is like a guard at the edge of our comfort zones. So when we're safe within this familiar zone of the status quo, our guard goes to sleep and it sleeps comfortably and peacefully. And as we approach the edge, when we act, it wakes up and it's going to tell us any lie that it needs to in order to get us to move back into the territory that keeps us safe from possible criticism, from failure, from hurt, from disappointment, from rejection, from not feeling like we belong, from embarrassment, from all of those negative things. So think of your negative inner voice as kind of like your risk aversion department, right? And your risk aversion department is not really interested at all in working with your learning and development department. They're not interested in your growth and development. So when we understand that our safety instinct uses this inner critic as its strategy, and that the chatter that it offers is not a reflection of reality, that's how we take away the power. That's how we take away the power of this negative inner voice. Because we can say to ourselves, I hear that voice. I hear it loud and clear, but I know that it's not the voice of truth. And I'm going to choose not to take direction from it. So the name of the game is it's not eliminating self-doubt. It's learning how to let the inner critic do its job without taking direction from it, without letting it holding you back, holding you back, without letting it determine your choices. It's not letting it have power over you. So we simply need to learn how to live with it and manage it, because that self-doubt is always going to be there, no matter what. And then who is it? Who is it? If you take nothing else away, hear this right now, okay? No matter what the negative inner voice tells you, the good news is that it is not you. It is not you. It is simply one of the many voices inside of you, and you get the choice to decide which one you're going to listen to and which one you're going to act on. So you are not the critical voice. You are the person aware of the critical voice. You are the person feeling perplexed by it or bummed out by it or by believing it. You're the entity hearing the voice, but that critic is not the core of you. All right, so now that we understand what it is and why we have it and that it's not you, let's talk about some strategies and some action steps that you can take today to start shifting that relationship. So the first thing is commit to who you want to become. This is your foundational work. So just like when you build a house, you have to build a strong foundation. You need to clarify who you are, what you stand for, and why what you're doing matters, why it matters to you. You got to think about what you want your legacy to be and what do you value? What do you care about? Because you're going to use this information about who you are and what you stand for and why you're doing what you're doing. You're going to use that as your guide and as your anchor so that you can stay rooted in your truth. It's going to allow you to stay focused on and aligned with that bigger picture so you don't get what I call kind of that shiny object syndrome, which I get often. So I got to stay focused. But this work is going to provide the foundation that you need for the rest of the tools that we're going to discuss today. More importantly, it's going to strengthen your ability to access your inner voice, your true inner voice. So we're often encouraged, especially as women, we're often encouraged to seek out external mentors. And that's not a bad thing. Mentors are good. I want to offer you too, though, this thought that you have a great inner mentor inside of you. And that inner mentor is a fantastic tool to combat the negative inner voice because she wants to see you succeed. And here's the spoiler alert. That inner mentor that wants to see you succeed, that's the true core of you. That is the true core of you. So clarifying who you are and listening to your voice, that is going to strengthen your ability to access your true inner voice and unleash that inner mentor. And the other thing that I want to offer too is eliminate those other voices. And this is so hard, but eliminate those other voices. Make sure that what you want is what you truly want. Make sure it's your vision. Make sure it's your goals. It's what you stand for. Make sure it's really you and not other people. Make sure that it's not your boss, your parents, your partner, your mentor. Dig deep, dig deep. And a lot of people always ask, they're like, Marisa, well, how do I know if it's my voice or if it's someone else's? When your true inner voice speaks, it's going to light you up. You are going to light up. It's going to invite you to grow. It's going to invite you to step into your brilliance, and it's going to let your light shine, and it is going to light you on fire. That's why I'm a fire starter. All right. So your action here is pause and reflect. Pause and reflect. Carve out some time to listen to your inner voice. Go for a walk, journal, meditate, be still and listen, whatever that looks like for you. You don't need a long weekend or several hours to do this. You don't need to go have a retreat, although those things sound lovely. And if that is what is going to offer you the space to do that, then I certainly advocate for that. But this is a process. So just find something that's going to work for you so that you can take a few minutes every day to just do this work and really get in touch with that. The second thing is that we've got to learn to recognize your negative inner voice. So you got to do something. You got to do something. Because when you do something, you've got access to more data. You've got more evidence too to quiet the mind drama. So your thoughts are how you make meaning of an experience based on your prior experiences. So when you do something new or you do something big that you've never done before, your brain doesn't have any experience to draw from, and that's why it makes up these stories, these lies to keep you safe. So when you take action, your negative inner voice will inevitably show up, and then you're going to get really good at, you're going to get much better at differentiating between the negative inner voice and your true voice. And then to differentiate it, I want you to name it and claim it. Now you can do this literally or figuratively. Either way, identify it. Some people like to call it Nigel. Some people like to call it Barbara or Sally Sue, whatever that looks like. I just call it my mind drama. But in that simple recognition, you're going to switch from an observer of the voice, or you're going to become an observer of the voice. And then you've got a choice about how you want to respond to it. When you name it and claim it, you are going to notice the mind drama show up, and you're going to be like, oh, there's my mind drama. Well, hello, welcome. But you're going to be able to separate it. You're going to be able to separate yourself from the inner critic or the mind drama or Sally Sue, whoever it is. So we need to recognize the voice of the inner critic and differentiate that voice from the voice of our own best thinking. And that's why it's so important that you do that first step of defining and clarifying who you are. Because for so many of us, the inner critic's rants have become the voice that we hear all the freaking time. And we're so used to that voice that we no longer hear it. So how do I know if I'm hearing my negative inner voice or if I'm just being realistic? And that's a great question. And some of you may be asking that right now. Here's how you know the difference. The realistic thinker in you is going to be forward moving. She's going to seek solutions, or he. It's going to be realistic. It's going to be grounded. It's going to be calm. It's going to be exploratory. So it's going to sound like, I am really committed to blank because this is who I am. It's who I want to become. And so I wonder how I can make that happen. The critic, on the other hand, is going to spin and spin. It's going to ruminate on all the risks. It's going to offer you all of the worst case scenarios. It is going to speak in a very anxious and emotionally charged tone. It's going to make very definitive pronouncements. So it's going to sound like, I feel like that's what I'm meant to do, but I don't really have what it takes. And so I need more experience. I need to go back and get another certification because it's really irresponsible for me to do this. So that's the difference. Hopefully you can hear the difference there. So here's what I want you to do to take action. I want you to complete the sentence that says, my negative inner voice says, because this is going to offer you the stories that your negative inner critic is offering you. And when you write these, I want you to use you instead of I. You instead of I. Because when you're writing these negative scripts, this is going to help you differentiate. It's going to give you some distance, and it's going to allow you to act as a witness to the criticism rather than the source. Okay? It's also going to help you in the reframing part, which we're going to talk about in just a minute, and you'll see that. The other thing is talk about it, normalize it. That's what we're doing right now, right? Women and men, we don't talk about this. We don't talk about the vicious things that we say to ourselves because it's not pleasant, right? But we don't get to hear the counter arguments. We don't get to hear the support because we don't learn what other women that we admire, or men, because they seem so confident, right? So we don't get to hear the same irrational voices in their heads too. So let's talk about it. Let's normalize the fact that everybody's got this stuff, and we got to talk about it and deal with it and normalize it. So find and identify your people, whether it's a coach, whether it's a mentor, whether it's a friend or a partner. Have a conversation with someone that you trust that's going to challenge you and support you and call you out in a lovingly and kind way when you need to be called out. I want you to find people that genuinely care about you and your goals and that want you to succeed. And ask them to help you explore what's going on. Tell them your visions for the future. Invite them to help you get curious. Ask for help in identifying what's true and what's not true. Help you to see your blind spots. So many times when we're in it, we can't figure out what's true and what's not true. And that's actually one of the questions I ask my coaching clients all the time. I'm like, how do you know that to be true? 9 times out of 10, it's like, I don't know. I don't know that to be true. And so how do we find out? We take action. So when you start doubting yourself, talk about it. Talk about it. And then the last thing is, as women, I often find that we're afraid to admit our true feelings, especially to other women. We don't want to talk about how we're truly feeling. And so then we're perpetuating this never-ending cycle. Now, listen, I get it. I get it. This is hard stuff to talk about. We all have it. Let's not stifle it. Let's not stifle it. Let's talk about it and be honest. Find the people that you can be totally vulnerable with so you can be honest with yourself and with others and get that support and accountability that you need to do this work. So your action step here is to identify 2 to 3 people who you trust and who are going to challenge you and hold you accountable for those big dreams and goals and visions. Use this working group. That's what the purpose is of this group. Use it. Be vulnerable. Go check back in with that level of vulnerability that you're willing to offer here. Share with your people what your inner voice is saying, and then ask for feedback. Ask for guidance. The next thing is think differently. Think differently. How do you do that? You're going to go back to that second action statement, the one where you filled in that sentence that says, my negative inner voice says, and you're going to reframe every single one of those negative thoughts. And then when your brain offers that negative thought, you're going to replace it. So I know many of you are probably out there going, Marisa, you have lost your mind. Like, this is crazy. This is too hard. I told you at the beginning, I'm going to ask you to do hard things. We're going to do hard things together, because I promise that once you keep doing it, it gets easier. It gets easier. And once you do this, you eventually flip the script in your head and you rewire your brain to think differently. Brain science, totally brain science. So you're going to reframe, replace, and rewire. This is your action step. You're going to flip those critical thoughts that you wrote down. You're going to make them into positive statements rather than negative ones. You're going to write them down, read them frequently out loud, because that's what triggers your brain. This is retraining your brain. Now, I hear some of you, because I just know, because I've been there, I hear some of you going, Marisa, I don't have any positive statements to offer. And so if that's you, I see you, I hear you, and it's okay. We can do this together. We can do hard things. So think about those people that you identified earlier, those people that see you in a really positive way, those people that believe in you even when you don't believe in yourself. What would they say to you? So go to their space, go to them, either go to them physically and ask them, or go to that space in your head and write from that space. Or choose to write from a place of growth. So go back to that person that you're becoming, those big goals and dreams that you have, those outcomes that you want. Who do you want to be and what do you want to do with your life? Write from that perspective of your future self. The next one is shift from judgment to curiosity. So when you shift from judgment to curiosity, you're going to shift from battle mode to conversation mode. And then this is going to change your relationship with self-doubt for the better. So using judgment versus being judgmental. What does that mean? Our negative inner voices are often being judgmental. They're often disapproving and critical. And using judgment is going to leverage expertise and experience that we have from similar situations or similar experiences so that we can enable curiosity and learning. Do you hear the difference? Instead of using judgment, or instead of being judgmental, use judgment, be curious. And then pay attention, be aware of why you're not feeling like enough or why your negative inner voice is showing up. Pay attention to that. And then ask yourself and go back and be honest with yourself. Be honest. Is it that you're really not doing well? Or do you need to learn some new skills so that you can level up? Do you need to get more motivated? Like, check in with yourself. Or do you just need to up your game? And just get curious about it. There's no need to judge it. There's no need to judge it. It is simply data, but just get curious about it. And this is my personal favorite. I just say, throw your hands up in the air and go, oh, thank you, negative inner voice. How fascinating. How fascinating that you're offering this information for me to grow and get curious about. So when something keeps showing up, I'll just be like, how fascinating. That's interesting. What is that trying to tell me? Or if this behavior is new for you, just again, throw your hands up and say, how fascinating. How fascinating. So be curious. Ask yourself, this is your action statement. Ask yourself, what information is my voice giving me and what is at the root of that statement? And then ask powerful questions until you get to the root that start with how or what, not why. When you ask why statements, like, why is this happening to me? Why do I keep doing this? That's going to give your negative inner voice fuel because it's going to lean more towards victim mode. So ask questions like, how can I make this more, how can I do this? What do I need to do? Why? What is causing this to continue to show up? And then the last one is be a purposeful risk taker. Take messy action. Now, I see you perfectionists. I see you out there. I can't see you physically perhaps, but I see you. I'm a recovering perfectionist, so I get it. But take messy action. Failure is not a bad thing. When you take any action, you get data. You get data to make a more informed decision next time. And the other benefit of taking action, messy action, any action, is that you're going to gain confidence and you're going to gain certainty because you're doing something, anything. So messy action, B- action, it's way better than doing nothing at all. So don't sit idle. Be a purposeful risk taker. And reframe how you see risk. Shift who is in charge. Tell the risk aversion department that the learning and growth department is now in charge. Tell it that it's now in charge. You're going to go from risk aversion mode to purposeful risk-taking mode. The primary goal of purposeful risk-taking is to improve your performance. It's to unleash your potential and your greatness and help you be the person, be the leader that you're designed to be. So purposeful risk-taking is going to result in a deeper understanding of you. It's going to help you learn. It's going to help you grow. So be open to that new information. Be open to learning. Tell your brain that purposeful risk-taking is going to allow you to pursue your greatness, because that's what we're all here for, right? So the challenge here, or the action here, is challenge accepted. When you accept the challenge put on the table by your negative inner voice, You're going to make your voice your advocate and not your adversary. Your negative inner voice is going to show up, remember, when you're doing big stuff. So if your negative inner voice is showing up right now, that's a good thing. That's a really good thing. That means that you're doing something awesome and that you're getting ready to do something that really is meaningful and impactful for you. So this negative inner voice is just merely challenging you to move forward and out of your comfort zone and into your greatness. So just know that, reframe it into a positive and accept the challenge that it presents. All right, I've given you a lot of information in a very short amount of time. I'm a fast talker. I married a guy from Boston, so I've learned how to talk really fast. But shifting the relationship with your negative inner voice is really hard. It's really hard. It takes work. It's an ongoing process. So we've just laid some foundation work today. This is not a quick fix. Your negative inner voice is part of you, and it's not going to go away. It's not going to go away. So in today's session, I've offered you some ideas to ponder, some actions to take to really start doing this hard work that's necessary to conquer your negative inner voice and really create sustainable change. So I want to leave you with two quick things. One, if this work is something that you want to do and you need support and accountability to do it, I want you to know that I'm here for you. If you need someone to believe in you and walk with you through this process, I want you to know that I am all in. I'd be honored to partner with you. Again, this work is very personal for me. It is my mission. And so here's what I'd like to offer all of you. If this is something that you struggle with, and I'm going to assume by your presence here that this is something that you want to work on, if you're ready to do the work, I'm going to gift each of you a 60 free minute, no strings attached coaching session to help you get started on that work. Because I care so deeply about this. And so we'll dig a little bit deeper into some of the things that we've discussed today and create an action plan for you. So if this is something that you're interested in, or you simply just want to stay in touch because this is resonating with you, or this is kind of striking a chord with you, my main social media presence is over on LinkedIn. I invite you to connect with me there. You can send me a DM. You can email me. My email address is there as well. Let's start a conversation. Let's continue this conversation. And also, if you know other women that might need to hear this message, I love to speak to groups of women like this, and would love the opportunity to share this with even more amazing women, because I don't want other women to get stuck or held back because of their mind drama. And then lastly, I want to leave you with this. I believe in you. I believe in you. And I believe that you can do hard things. And I know you can do this. I know you can conquer your negative inner voice. And know that I see you and that you belong in this space. And we all struggle with this. So go accept the challenge your negative inner voice is offering and do some hard things so that the world can soak up all of your brilliance. And so now I'm going to flip it over. I think we're going to get ready to move into our small groups. So I want to offer the discussion questions there.
Thank you so much, Marisa, for sharing all of your knowledge, for sharing your journey with us and creating this safe space. I was jotting a few things down, and I certainly have my work carved out, but excited to hop into our discussions. How it works, probably most of you know, we're just randomly going to be broken out into groups. We encourage you to share things. Obviously, there's no pressure to do so. You can just sit in and listen. Just keep in mind, though, why are you here, and also that number of how much are you committed to being here. I love that exercise, your focus. And there will be a representative from NC Chamber in each of the breakouts, just guide and discussion if needed. If not needed, fantastic. And then we'll reconvene automatically. Will be sent back. Hopefully we'll have time for a few questions and answers, and after that we'll chat about our next meeting. So let's do this. All right, I think we're all back in. That was quick. I wish we had a little more time. I hope that you all had good conversations. We will certainly share all of the resources that were provided today in our recap email. But first, I wanna extend thanks to Marisa for being here with us, for again sharing her knowledge, for inspiring and igniting us to take one action, no matter how messy it might be. And I want to commend all of you for taking an active part today and in our conversation, and mainly for carving out time for building yourself. A reminder that you will receive the recap with recording, as well as Marisa contact information. We will also include the book that she mentioned at the beginning of the session, if that's of interest to you. And there will also be a sign-up opportunity to present on a topic of interest for a future workshop. So if you know anyone, please feel free to make suggestions for us. This is important to NC Chamber, and we just want to open it up to anyone and everyone. So welcome your friends, your colleagues. I think we do have a few minutes before we close up for any questions and answers. So I wanted to see if there was anything. There's one deep one. So Marisa, if you don't have time to answer it here, we will certainly be happy to put you in touch with the attendee. And that is one, how does one help a person with symptoms of depression or anxiety decipher the differences in the negative self-talk?
Yeah, that is a great question. And I am actually going to punt that to a mental health. That is actually outside of the scope of coaching. So that's outside of my area of expertise. But I do have a lot of great mental health therapists that I would support or would recommend. And so if people want to reach out, I'd be happy to provide those resources. But that's definitely outside of my scope of expertise. And so I definitely don't want to go down that road. I will say though, I have done my own mental health work as well. And that is also an important part of the journey. And so I am highly advocate for it. That's a great question.
We'll make sure to include your email and your LinkedIn handle as well for people to get in touch. If anyone else has any other questions.
Can I mention one book, Linka, that I forgot to mention?
Absolutely.
Yeah. One book that I highly recommend, especially for the women in the group, is called Playing Big. It's by Tara Moore. And Tara is someone that she's been somebody that I would consider a mentor, even though I've never met her. I've only read her books and seen her speak and things like that. But her book called Playing Big, it's practical wisdom for women who want to speak up, create, and lead. And so a lot of the stuff that I shared today is coming from and inspired by Tara's work. And so I highly recommend this book as well. And if you're a podcast person, she's done a lot of podcasts and TED Talks and things like that, if that's more your speed. So I just want to share that resource.
Thank you. We will include that as well. One additional note is we have still our LinkedIn support group. So I encourage you all to pop in there, share any resources, post any questions, introduce yourself again, make connections, build your community and network. And we will be in touch about our next session. Hopefully in 6 to 8 weeks, we'll be able to reconvene. I wish you all a happy and safe summer. I hope that you have some fun and relaxing plans. Again, on behalf of the Chamber, thank you for joining us. Thank you, Marisa. And we will see you all soon. There will be a quick poll if you don't mind sharing your feedback as we continue on our programming. Would love to hear your thoughts. And again, be well and be safe, and see you soon.